Just as I was about to marry my childhood sweetheart, his dream girl came back. She was wearing my custom-designed wedding dress and said, "Do you know why your wedding dress doesn't fit? Because Michael Hart never intended to marry you. It was designed according to my size." A relieved smile spread across my face. Good, I can finally walk my own path in life. But later, Michael Hart watched the photos of me with another man and broke down, crying, "Baby, I don't want anything anymore. I just want you back." On the TV, an interview with Michael Hart and Laura Clark was playing. The host said, "There's been a lot of speculation online about you two movie star/actors being together. Is your silence an admission?" Michael Hart took her hand and looked at her with affection. There was no explanation. The audience erupted in cheers, and someone jumped up and shouted, "Kiss her! Kiss her!" Laura Clark shyly pulled her hand back, her face as rosy as a peach. Michael Hart chuckled and said to the camera, "Sarah is shy, don't tease her." He didn't directly admit it, nor did he extinguish everyone's enthusiasm for gossip. The truth and falsehood were indistinguishable. With a thwack, Michael Hart, holding a plate of food, turned off the TV. His angular face, with a beauty mark under his eye, was particularly handsome and compelling. "Let's eat, don't watch it, it's all fake." He gently placed my favorite honey-glazed spare ribs on the table, then carried me in bridal style, wanting to kiss my cheek. I turned my face away, avoiding him. I said seriously, "Michael Hart, you're so dirty right now." A look of surprise flashed in his eyes, and he said aggrieved, "Anna Moore, it's for work. You used to always understand me, didn't you?" I subconsciously looked around. Our extravagant life now was indeed the result of Michael Hart's hard work and superb acting skills. But I hadn't forgotten that he was a movie star/actor, an excellent actor both on and off the screen. He could LDN't fool me. Just like now, after eating a few bites of the meal, his cell phone screen suddenly lit up. He glanced at me guiltily, then picked up his cell phone and said to me, "I'm full, I have some work to do, I'll go be busy." He picked up his glass and went into the study without looking back. I put the honey-glazed spare ribs in my mouth and chewed a couple of times. It tasted bland. It couldn't compare to the taste when we were broke and made it in our small apartment. The reason was probably because I looked at Michael Hart's cell phone this morning. I was still at the top of his text list, but I wasn't the last person he replied to. 3 days ago, I sent him a text asking if he would be back for the meal, but he ignored it and didn't reply. Below me was the message he sent to Laura Clark last night, "Good night." The previous chat history was blank. Maybe he wore me out too late last night and was too tired to delete it. He must have sensed that something was off with me. The next day was my birthday, and Michael Hart surprisingly took me to the cafe in University District. The cafe was called Whispering, which was my nickname. At first, I was surprised, but then I thought that it was probably just a coincidence. Back in college, the first time we celebrated Michael Hart successfully signing with an agency, we went here. That year, he held up a plastic cup full of beer and promised me, "Anna Moore, when I become a big star, I'll marry you in style." His youthful, clear eyes were full of hope, and at that moment of certainty, I considered it eternal. His gaze had never left me for a moment. At that time, Michael Hart had inserted the candles on the birthday cake, and there was also a bouquet of delicate roses on the table. "Make a wish, Anna Moore." The shadows of the candlelight danced on his flawless face, looking at me just like back then. For a moment, I had the urge to cry. I pretended to close my eyes. The moment I closed my eyes, Michael Hart immediately lit up his cell phone screen, staring at the words on it, a faint smile spreading across his lips. My nose tingled, and I made a wish without making a sound. In previous birthday wishes, Michael Hart was always there. I hoped he would be safe and sound. I hoped to spend many years with him. I also hoped that he would become a big star soon and marry me quickly. But now, in my wish with my hands clasped together, he was no longer there. I raised my red wine and drank it all in one gulp. After drinking the wine, my head was dizzy, and I felt drowsy. Michael Hart gently scraped my nose and said dotingly, "Always so easily drunk, still showing off when you can't handle it." Before I fell, he carried me to a room he had already booked in a sensual hotel. I fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up the next day, my head was groggy. Michael Hart was nowhere to be found. I opened my cell phone and received several mentions in a group chat. I clicked in and found that my college roommates were teasing me. "Anna Moore, I didn't expect you and Michael Hart to still be so in love after all these years." "Yeah, my husband and I lost that passion a long time ago. We're like brothers." "I'm so envious of you, eh? But don't I get the feeling that the person looks like Laura Clark?" I clicked on the screenshots they sent and took a closer look. It was a gossip news item that was trending. In the pictures, Michael Hart was walking into a hotel with a woman wearing a mask, chatting and laughing. At this moment, Michael Hart pushed open the door, carrying a bag in his hand. "What are you looking at? So focused." I didn't say a word, watching him gently spread the crab rangoon, dumplings, and century egg congee from the bag on the table. After doing all this, he noticed that I hadn't moved. He turned his head in confusion and said, "Lazy pig, don't lie in bed, come and eat your favorite crab rangoon." I braved the rain to buy it from the old shop downtown. I sutta. NLY felt a little ridiculous. This man who was so attentive to me had really betrayed me. If the truth wasn't right in front of me, how could I have believed it? I put the news in front of him and said coldly, "Last night, you took advantage of me being asleep to go see Laura Clark?" He looked at me gently, glancing at the screen. Then he casually brought a crab rangoon to my mouth. It was as if this had nothing to do with him. "Anna Moore, don't always be so suspicious. She and I are just colleagues. After all these years together, don't you trust me?" He stared at me, his eyes sincere and confident. I wanted to find a trace of guilt in his eyes, but there was none. It was as if I was the one being unreasonable. Seeing that I was still silent, he said, "I did go see her yesterday, but we were just going over the script." I sneered, "Going to a hotel to look at the script? Do you take me for a 3-year-old, Michael Hart?" He ran out of patience and got angry. "Anna Moore, you're simply being unreasonable right now." He opened his cell phone, flipped to a page of chat history, and slammed it in front of me. "Look!" I picked up the cell phone. They were indeed discussing the script in their work group chat, and because he was spending my birthday, he said he couldn't go to the company. After some discussion, they decided to come to the hotel where Michael Hart and I were staying to go over the script. I didn't want to disturb you, so I booked a room next door. He pinched the sides of his nose, his eyes slightly tired. My heart ached as if it had been pricked by a needle. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have suspected you like that. I care about you too much, that's why I'm afraid of losing you." Tears welled up in my eyes, looking pitiful, and Michael Hart's heart softened. He sighed heavily and carried me in bridal style back to the table. "Eat, it won't taste good when it's cold." Michael Hart used the scandal with Laura Clark to create buzz and appeared on Man. Y variety shows. The frequency far exceeded that of all the actresses he had worked with in the past. Laura Clark was the campus belle when we were in college. Michael Hart and she had collaborated on a stage play, playing Romeo and Juliet. Someone posted it online, and it immediately went viral, receiving over 1 million likes. Netizens exclaimed, "Amazing, they look like a married couple, a match made in heaven." That was the first time I had a big fight with Michael Hart. I wanted him to delete the finished film from the internet, but he refused. "Don't be ridiculous, Anna Moore, the school filmed it, I don't have the authority to delete it." And this is my achievement. I'll rely on these experiences to find roles in the future. When I act in the future, I'll inevitably have kissing scenes and scandals with actresses. If you can't accept this, then let's break up." His eyes turned red, and he added, "I don't want you to be wronged." For the first time, I broke my own principles and bottom line, and accepted this fact. For no other reason than that I loved Michael Hart. Later, Laura Clark went abroad for some unknown reason and dropped out of school. This matter also came to a temporary end. Until she returned to New York this time, she became famous and starred in a movie with Michael Hart, who had just won the Best Actor award. I suddenly felt tired. Michael Hart got the money and status he wanted, but when it came to getting married, he begged me, "Anna Moore, can we elope when we get married?" It was an ordinary evening. I snuggled in his arms, watching TV together. He said this out of the blue. My whole body stiffened. I looked up at him, tears streaming down my face uncontrollably. He had clearly promised me before, but now he wanted me to sacrifice. My voice was hoarse as I struggled to speak. "Why?" He used his fingertip to lovingly wipe away my tears. "Baby, don't cry. Now is the stage of rapid development of my career. If I announce my relationship, I will lose fans." He was about to continue, but I interrupted him abruptly. "So you want to marry me secretly?" He didn't deny it, and said, "Anna Moore, I know this is difficult to accept, but it was not easy for me to get where I am today." For the sake of his future, I once again chose to compromise. The wedding dress Michael Hart ordered for me arrived. He said that he couldn't give me a grand wedding, but he could customize a wedding dress that I liked. I happily found several designers, stayed up for several nights, and finally designed the draft. The skirt was embroidered with my favorite irises. The nanny put it on me and praised me repeatedly. "Miss N, you look gorgeous in it." I was a little breathless from being squeezed, and said with a wry smile, "Auntie, was your wedding dress so tight when you got married?" The nanny laughed and said, "Miss N, in our time, where could we find such a high-end wedding dress?" Wearing a red cheongsam was already excellent. I took a picture and saved it on my cell phone. In the evening, Michael Hart hugged me from behind, his warm breath spreading on the side of my cheek. "Don't you like the wedding dress? Why don't you post it on social media?" I'm someone who can't hide things, and I like to post about everything, no matter how small. Not to mention a wedding dress, which symbolizes the beauty of marriage. I pulled away his hand that was touching my shoulder and said with a smile, "There's nothing to show off. You're a movie star/actor now. If I'm so high profile and get exposed, what will happen to your career?" His expression froze, his lips trembled slightly, and he couldn't say a word. A few days passed, and I accidentally swiped to Laura Clark's live broadcast. I wasn't interested at first, but as I swiped down, I suddenly saw clearly that she was wearing my custom-designed wedding dress. I quickly went to the cloakroom, where the wedding dress used to be, but now it was empty. I made a dozen calls to Michael Hart, and he finally answered. His words were full of impatience. "What is it, Anna Moore? Don't you have anything else to do? Is it interesting to pester me every day?" I hung up the phone and went straight to Michael Hart's company. Some things had to be settled face to face. On the way to Michael Hart's company, I received an email. The title was "The Truth You Should Know." Attached to the email were records of Michael Hart and Laura Clark checking into hotels. There were also videos of them kissing passionately in KTV rooms, as well as orders for Michael Hart spending large sums of money for her. Each and everything, like steel needles, pierced through my heart. When I arrived at Michael Hart's company, I happened to see Laura Clark taking off her makeup. She glanced at me, and smiled like she was looking at a clown. It was as if she had expected me to come to her. She admired her manicure with pleasure and said triumphantly, "Do you know why your wedding dress doesn't fit? Because Michael Hart never intended to marry you. It was designed according to my size." As soon as she finished speaking, a loud slap landed on her face. In an instant, her fair skin turned slightly red, and she glared at me. But the next second, she burst into tears as if she had changed her face. "Sarah!" Michael Hart shouted, rushed to her side, and stroked her face with pity. At that moment, many people appeared outside the door. Whispers poured into my ears. "Who is this woman? Really, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can come to the company and make trouble. She dared to hit our movie star/actress. She's going to get sued. It'll cost her everything." Maybe she's just a crazy fan who's pursuing the movie star/actor, otherwise who would be so malicious towards Sarah? I said softly, "Michael Hart, tell me, who am I?" After so many years, I just wanted an answer. Michael Hart turned his back to me, holding Laura Clark in his arms, looking deeply in love. Hearing my words, he suddenly stood up and said to those busybodies, "This fan is out of her mind. She keeps fantasizing that I'm her husband. What a joke." Heh, so, I've always been a joke. Behind him, Laura Clark held her face, unable to hide her smile. He leaned in close to my ear and said through gritted teeth, "Anna Moore, do you have to ruin me?" My heart stopped suddenly, and warm liquid trickled down my cheeks. Michael Hart panicked. I said with a nasal voice, "Let's break up, Michael Hart." After shaking off his hand, I pushed my way through the crowd and ran outside. Perhaps I was too anxious. I crashed headfirst into a wall, and stars flashed before my eyes. A muffled groan came from my ear. "Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself?" I got up, apologized, and fled in panic. Michael Hart wet a towel with warm water and carefully wiped Laura Clark's cheeks. "Does it still hurt?" She shook her head, slightly apologetic. "I'm sorry. I made you argue with Anna Moore. It's my fault. She wants to break up with you." Laura Clark stopped talking. Michael Hart wrung out the towel, not caring at all. "It's okay. She can't leave me. Besides, even if she leaves me, I still have you, don't I?" Michael Hart playfully scratched her nose, then pinched her chin and kissed her. An ambiguous atmosphere enveloped the burst of hormones, a handsome man and a beautiful woman. The scene was extremely beautiful. Laura Clark suddenly paused, and Michael Hart asked, "What's wrong? Aren't you afraid she'll retaliate against you? Say that you're cheating." "She won't." He made up a reason to get by. In fact, he wasn't sure whether Anna Moore would retaliate against him, but he was confident that she couldn't leave him. Anna Moore had no skills to rely on. When she struggled in society and tasted the hardships, she would naturally beg to come back to him obediently. Thinking of this, he smiled with peace of mind. After returning home, I received a call from an unknown number. "Hello, we are W. Whispering Cafe. Your wish this year was selected by our manager. We can help you make it come true." I paused for half a second, thinking about my wish this year to become a diplomat. This dream had taken root in my heart since I was a child. But for Michael Hart, I had put it aside for a long time. When I was in college, Michael Hart said to me, "Why don't you wholeheartedly be my agent? Being a diplomat is simply a fantasy for you." I was already a little timid, and after he said that, I became even more unconfident. So I embarked on the life that Michael Hart had designed for me. For a while, in order to buy him a birthday gift, I plucked up the courage to participate in a debate competition held by the TV station. Not only did I win an award, but I also received a generous bonus. I happily bought him the Nike sneakers he wanted and gave them to him. As a result, he got very angry. "I don't need you to show your face to buy these things for me. You are mine, understand?" When I was young and lily davizant, I thought he loved me. Now, I sadly realized that I was a caged canary whose wings had been clipped. After I finished packing, I decided to go to Whispering Cafe first. Inside the cafe, I picked up a Winnie the Pooh doll that the store had placed there. For some reason, I had an inexplicable feeling, as if the owner of the store knew what I wanted. The decoration style was my favorite warm style. Even the dolls were my favorite cartoon characters. As I was thinking, a pair of hands waved in front of me. A deep male voice sounded, "What are you thinking about?" I looked up and met a pair of clear eyes, with long eyelashes, extremely beautiful. Why did he look so familiar? I blinked. "Are you the manager?" The man smiled faintly and pulled out the chair opposite me. He put the box in his hand on the table and said, "Yes, I am the owner. Congratulations on winning our store's wish fulfillment drawing." He took out the wishing bottle I left on my birthday, opened it and looked at it. What an interesting dream. He paused. Very good. His reaction was very different from Michael Hart's. I will never forget how Michael Hart scoffed at my dream. I smiled. "Thank you." I told him that I was about to move, and I didn't have a job, so I couldn't fully pick up my old knowledge yet. The man in front of me said, "If you don't have any plans, you can come to the store. I'm fluent in several foreign languages. I can teach you. In addition, our store is short of staff. If you don't mind, you can come and help." With that, he handed me a business card. "This is my business card. You can add me as a friend. Think about it first. No rush." I thanked him and went home. Michael Hart happened to send me a text. "I've stopped your credit card. Promise me you won't come to the company to find me again, and I'll restore it for you. Think about it." I didn't reply to his text. I turned around and added the Whispering Cafe owner's text today. Strange, why does it show that he's already my friend? I was stunned for a long time and sent him a text. "Boss, hello, I'm Anna Moore. I've thought about it. Can I come over tomorrow?" He replied instantly, "Of course." The cafe owner's name was Ryan Davis, and he looked so familiar to me. It seemed like I had seen this name somewhere, but I couldn't remember it. At this moment, he led me to the employee apartment. "This is where you'll be living." Pushing open the door, what came into view was an apartment with 2 floors. I couldn't believe it no matter how I thought about it. After all, where else would employees live so well? Ryan Davis saw my doubts and explained, "The other employees are all students, they don't need accommodation. This is a bachelor apartment I bought too much of, there's no point in not living in it." I nodded thoughtfully. In the days that followed, I studied with Ryan Davis every day. I also signed up for the C Civil Service examination. I thought that I should FI T for myself once in my life. Most of the time, the other employees in the cafe were busy. Ryan Davis said, "You can prepare for the exam with peace of mind and practice your eloquence more." I agreed, and earnestly did so. One day, when I had nothing to do, I stared at my name on the coffee cup and asked Ryan Davis, "Why did you name your store this?" He was originally reading a novel on his cell phone, but when he heard me ask him, he looked up and smiled brightly. He said mysteriously, "I'll tell you when you pass the exam." Oh, so mysterious. On the TV in the store, Michael Hart was hugging Laura Clark, who looked heartbroken, and said with tears in his eyes, "I, Dylan Carter, will only marry Miss Claire Moore." It was quite touching. Several young female customers in the store screamed excitedly, "Wow! The heroine made me cry. Such a good girl deserves such a handsome male lead." That's right. Haney is so handsome and gentle. She must be happy if she marries him. Behind me, there was a disdainful snort. TCH, what's so good about marrying this kind of trash? I turned my head and saw Ryan Davis lazily propping up his chin, looking arrogant. I couldn't help but laugh. "Do you know him?" "Your ex-boyfriend?" Ryan Davis said, "I've seen him. Didn't he also come when it was your birthday?" On the other side, Michael Hart and Laura Clark had an unprecedented argument. "Michael Hart, you're dating me but you won't go public? Are you treating me like a backup?" Don't think I'm as weak as Anna Moore. Michael Hart began to explain patiently. I rely on fans for traffic. If I make it official at this time, it would be like ruining my career. This state is good for both of us. Some gossip can increase the heat. Laura Clark understood. He was only thinking about himself. She said aggressively, if you don't make me public, then wait for me to expose your dirty behavior of cheating. Michael Hart was angered by these words. He jumped up with a whoosh, his veins bulging. He pointed at Laura Clark and cursed, you and I are in the same boat. What good will you get from exposing me? Laura Clark was so angry that her eyes widened. She picked up an ashtray and smashed it at Michael Hart. He couldn't dodge in time, and the tip of his forehead was smashed and bled. Seeing him bleed, Laura Clark herself was shocked, and her eyes turned red in an instant. I didn't mean to. Her hand trembled as she tried to touch Michael Hart, but he dodged it. After bandaging up at the hospital, he returned to his empty home. Missing someone when seeing familiar things was not unreasonable. The Hello Kitty calendar on the wall had long been forgotten, and no one had crossed off the days that had passed. The succulents on his study table were originally bought by Anna Moore for him to relieve his worries, but now they annoyed him even more. All the tables in the house had rounded corners. When they were bought, Anna Moore straightened Michael Hart's tie and said with a smile, what if you get drunk and come home and bump into something? The love in her eyes contained the stars and the sea. Thinking of this, Michael Hart's tears welled up, unknowingly soaking his clothes. In the dark room, Michael Hart stared at the words on his cell phone screen. I've stopped your credit card. Promise me you won't come to the company to find me again, and I'll restore it for you. Think about it. His heart stung. He reached out and slapped himself, muttering to himself, I deserve to die. How could I say such things and do such things to Anna Moore? He put down all his previous pride and self-esteem and sent a text. He wanted to make peace, but the words that came to his lips became, Anna Moore, have you suffered a lot? Come back quickly. There was still no response. As the students approached their vacation, Ryan Davis suddenly became generous and invited us employees to travel abroad. Upon hearing this news, Mia Wilson, the part-time student who was closest to me, excitedly grabbed my hand and jumped up. Sister Yoon, Kevin is so nice. I laughed. Look at how excited you are. For some reason, ripples arose in my heart. When I was still a poor student, I was very envious of the lives of rich people. The school organized an event and took us to a debate competition in the next city, all expenses paid. I would be excited for days. Later, when Michael Hart got rich, I could go wherever I wanted, but I lost the initial joy. Suddenly, Mia Wilson whispered in my ear, Sister Yoon, I feel like Kevin likes you. My face turned hot instantly, and I mumbled, what nonsense are you talking about? She giggled and said in a low voice, haven't you noticed? Every time he finishes saying something, his eyes will unconsciously glance at you. And I've been working part-time for him for 2 years, and he's never mentioned taking us out to play. You said you wanted to be a diplomat, and he immediately said he wanted to take us abroad. Do you think this is a coincidence or what? I looked up and met Ryan Davis's pure eyes, and my heart did flutter a little. However, a few days ago, a dopamine girl with pigtails came to the store and went straight to me and said, are you Anna Moore? I turned around from the side of the bar sink and nodded in confusion. She said impolitely, stay away from my brother. He has someone he likes. I was suddenly stunned. Ryan Davis pushed the door open and warmly greeted the girl, Lily Davis, why are you here? The girl hopped over and gave him a big hug. She said with a smile, I just missed you, Ryan Davis, and I were just ordinary employer-employee relationships, so why did my heart feel a little sour? I suppressed the surging emotions in my heart, turned around and continued to wash the coffee glass, pretending I didn't see anything. During the time we were out playing, Ryan Davis had been teaching me diplomatic etiquette and some basic knowledge about foreign countries. You'll be able to use these in the future. I was grateful, but I still deliberately kept my distance from him. On this day, we were all eating steak at a fancy restaurant. Ryan Davis took pictures with each of us, and also posted the pictures in our work group. I glanced at them and found that when he took pictures with other people, his eyes were bright and he smiled at the camera. But the photo he took with me, he looked at me with affection, his eyes shining. He looked incredibly ambiguous. Ryan Davis asked me, "Aren't you going to post it on your social media timeline?" How could I disobey my boss's orders? Among the many photos I picked and chose, I realized that in many photos, I could always vaguely catch him looking at me. Helpless, I chose the least obvious photo. I was making a V sign at the camera, and he was smiling at me. I captioned it, "Thanks to Boss Kevin for the treat, Ryan Davis gave me a like." Soon after, Michael Hart bombarded me with several texts. "Who's that man in your social media timeline? Your boss? The way he looks at you is definitely suspicious. Where are you now? I've reactivated your credit card. Come back soon. Delete the social media timeline post, and I'll forgive you." Such a bizarre request. What gives you the right to tell me to delete it? After a moment of silence, Michael Hart avoided my question and said, "How long has it been since we broke up, and you're already messing around with another man? Have you ever loved me? Were you cheating on me even when we were together?" Through the cell phone screen, I could imagine Michael Hart's indignant and exasperated expression. I chuckled. He was the king of double standards. A mischievous thought popped into my head, and I didn't respond directly. I left a vague reply, "Pretty smart." I ignored him and put my phone on silent. Why not just block and delete him? I wanted him to watch me turn things around and become unstoppable. To live a successful life. What if I left high? 14 Michael Hart found out that Anna Moore was at Whispering Cafe. He rushed over to find her, seething with anger. It was a bright and sunny day when Michael Hart pushed open the door of the cafe. He saw Anna Moore, whom he hadn't seen in a long time, rolling up her sleeves, preparing to wash glass. Michael Hart sneered, "Ha, Anna Moore, the boyfriend you found now isn't much, making you do such menial work." He originally wanted to show Anna Moore some concern, but the words came out wrong. Anna Moore remained calm, put down the glass in her hand, wiped her hands, and said, "What can I get for you?" Michael Hart didn't expect her to completely ignore his words. He glanced at the menu board and said, "You know what I like." Anna Moore repeated, "Sir, what can I get for you?" "Cappuccino." Anna Moore printed the ticket, handed it to him, and turned to operate the coffee machine. Michael Hart stood outside the bar, staring intently at Anna Moore, his eyes welling up. He missed the days when Anna Moore was at home so much. In the past few months, Laura Clark had almost driven him crazy. She forbade him from taking on any roles and ordered him to replace his little assistant. He wasn't allowed to take on any dramas except those where he acted with her, or variety shows that they were on together. They were practically glued together 24 hours a day. He was suffocating under this oppressive life. Today, he had snuck out while Laura Clark was at the beauty salon getting a treatment. His voice trembling, he choked out, "Anna Moore, can you come back to me? As long as you come back, I'll make our relationship public, and you'll never have to feel insecure again." Anna Moore handed him the cappuccino. "Okay, sir, enjoy your drink. There's an empty seat over there." Anna Moore pointed to the seat they used to sit in. "Anna Moore!" Michael Hart shouted angrily, and the surrounding customers looked over. Some students recognized him. Isn't that the movie star/actor? Nosy people had already started taking pictures with their cell phones. Michael Hart was going all out, grabbing Anna Moore's hand. Anna Moore, look at your life now, it's a world of difference compared to when you were with me. Leave that man and be with me. He had always liked to order people around. But Anna Moore was no longer his exclusive possession as he thought. Michael Hart, you're dreaming. 15 on the day the exams ended, Ryan Davis mysteriously said, don't you want to know why my cafe is called Whispering? Come with me. Outside the university auditorium, the fragrance of winter-sweet blossoms filled the air. Ryan Davis said, wait for me here. I nodded blankly. I hadn't been back to school in years, and the glass outside the auditorium was stained with rain, looking somewhat lonely. It wasn't like back then, when I was a vibrant and energetic young woman, walking in with my head held high for the first time. I fought fiercely alongside many young people of my age. In that debate, we formed the champion team, and I, as the best debater, became the focus of everyone's attention. I'm ashamed to say that I participated in this debate solely to get the prize money to buy Michael Hart a plane ticket to New York to participate in the auditions. So I had to win, I couldn't lose. What are you thinking about? Ryan Davis waved his hand in front of my eyes. I came back to my senses and saw him dressed in a suit and tie, with a name tag hanging on his chest. Debater number 4 Ryan Davis. Memories were like a hand, pulling me back to the day of the debate. The host announced, please welcome debater number 4 Ryan Davis from the red team to give his rebuttal. The blurry face in my memory gradually overlapped with the man in front of me. My heart was filled with mixed feelings. There was joy, surprise, and a sense of unreality. I slowly opened my mouth. It's you? Ryan Davis smiled and said, remember now? Yeah. He naturally took my hand and walked into the auditorium. After becoming your defeated opponent, I started paying attention to you. In the end, I realized that everything you did was for your ex-boyfriend. Ryan Davis smiled bitterly and said, once, I sat next to you in the library, and you dropped a notebook. The name Whispering was on it, and I chased after you to return it to you later. I suddenly understood, although my memory was vague, there was indeed such a thing. So you used that name to open Whispering Cafe? He nodded. A hint of sweetness rippled in my heart. It turned out that Ryan Davis had been silently loving me all along. I thought I would never have a chance again. Until I invested in the script for the drama that Michael Hart was acting in, I discovered that he had been cheating on you behind your back for a long time. My heart skipped a beat, and I suddenly remembered the person I bumped into when I rushed out of the dressing room that day, and the contents of the email? Ryan Davis saw my surprise and said apologetically, that's right, I did it all. Actually, as long as you're happy, I can let you go to him, but he's not worth it. He's not worth you giving up everything to make him successful. You deserve a better life, Anna Moore. 16 later, I wore a smart suit and dressed formally. In front of the camera, I calmly answered reporters' questions and gradually became the youngest online celebrity diplomat. After work, Ryan Davis held our daughter's little hand to pick me up. It was drizzling at that time. Not far away, a man was holding an umbrella, gazing at our family of 3. Ryan Davis picked up our daughter, handed me an umbrella, and said, go, he's about to go abroad, cut off his thoughts as soon as possible. In the few years that I had been married, Michael Hart and Laura Clark had completely broken up. Laura Clark was pregnant with his child, but he still refused to make it public. Abort it, I said, I will only love Anna Moore in this lifetime. Laura Clark completely collapsed and resolutely aborted the child. That day, she exposed Michael Hart's dirty behavior on the internet, completely shattering his image as a national god. Michael Hart lost his career and was cyberbullied to the point of mental breakdown. Later, he hugged the Iris custom-designed wedding dress at home all day and all night, crying heart-wrenchingly, Anna Moore, I know you married someone else to make me jealous. I've altered your favorite wedding dress for you, adjusted it to fit your size. Please, Come back soon. The huge apartment was silent and would never have my presence again. I walked up to Michael Hart, and he gave me a smile. You look so beautiful and confident now. A layer of film had formed on his hair from the drizzle, making him look 10 years older. White hair was also growing wildly on his head. I smiled slightly. Thank you. I heard you're going abroad for treatment. He suffered from schizophrenia and was normal most of the time, but his behavior was completely uncontrollable when he had an attack. When he heard me say this, a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes, and he burst into tears of excitement. Anna Moore, you still care about me, don't you? I didn't answer him directly, but turned my head to look at my lovely daughter and Ryan Davis, whose eyes were full of love. Then I said, Michael Hart, I'm here to say goodbye. He paused and shook his head desperately. No, don't. Even if I'm your enemy, I don't want you and I to have no relationship at all. I took a few steps back. Back then, I couldn't swallow my anger. I was unwilling. I wanted to prove to you that I wasn't useless, that I could also realize my dreams with my own efforts. But when I truly possessed all of this, I realized that the obsession to prove myself to you had long since disappeared. You mean nothing to me anymore. Hearing this, the last glimmer of light in his eyes was completely extinguished. He turned around dazedly and gradually disappeared into the rain. The end.